I'm going to be reading some excerpts from God Emperor of Dune by Frank Herbert. Basically, this is from one of the chapters. It's a very long conversation, and I'm only reading parts of it. Duncan, Idaho, the latest incarnation, it finds the female guards of Leto Atreides, who's the son of Paul Atreides. These female guards are in bed with each other, and Duncan is upset, and he goes to Leto's major domo, Mana. And, Duncan's very upset. Duncan, said the major domo, it's perfectly normal for adolescent females, as well as males, to have feelings of physical attraction towards members of their own sex. Most of them will grow out of it. Duncan, it should be stamped out. The major domo replies, but it's part of our heritage. Stamped out. And that's not... Oh, be still, replies the major domo. If you try to suppress it, you only increase its power. And they continue on talking about other things, and the major domo continues in a soothing tone. I tell you this only once. Homosexuals have been among the best warriors in our history, the berserkers of last resort. They are among our best priests and priestesses. Celibacy was no accident in religions. It is also no accident in that adolescents make the best soldiers. Duncan replies, that's perversion. And the major domo says, quite right. Military commanders have known about the perverted displacement of sex into pain for thousands upon thousands of centuries. And Duncan, still upset, cries, is that what the great Lord Leto's doing? Still mild, the major domo replies. Violence requires that you inflict pain and suffer. How much more manageable a military force is driven by this, by its deepest urgings. And they again continue speaking, and that's the portions that I mainly wanted to read. And those, I think, are very important. The brilliance of Herbert is that there are many layers to his text. And, you can have different takes on this text. And how you read this. I mean, there's Duncan's being upset about these women being in bed with each other, and the major domo having a very relaxed attitude. And, you can even have different versions of what this major domo is saying. And, so I think it's very interesting that Herbert is being very open about homosexualism. Now, some of you who may know the books and the movies are going to ask, wait a minute, what about the Baron? Well, the Baron in the first book he likes young men. I can't say blame him. Anyways, he likes young men, but that he's not evil because he's gay. He's not, and unless you happen to watch a certain movie version, but let's not go into that right now. Anyways, the Baron is not evil because he's gay. He's evil because he's greedy. He's, he wants power for himself. He is unpleasant. But I don't think Herbert is saying that the Baron is unpleasant because he's gay. I mean, if anything, to me, the Baron is like the Emperor Nero. He has that same sort of personality. Unlike, again, a certain movie version by Lynch. And there's a certain scene, which I detest, which is very homophobic. I don't think Herbert is that way. And I think that Herbert is willing to accept things beyond himself. that he's willing to accept that there are homosexuals. And, there's a very inclusiveness about Herbert. He's open to other things. I mean, he's, look who he is, and he's writing a book with, words that come from Muslim beliefs. And, so he is very, he's not easy to pin down, certainly. Yeah, because there are many layers to him. So I think it's important to remember that, for Herbert especially, and, especially when you, again, remember certain movie versions. Again, I own the movie. I do not like the fact that I own this movie because of this certain scene. But anyways, I just think it's very important to remember this. Because, we're all human beings. And Herbert is willing to acknowledge this.